everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Today we're going to work on another block in this amazing project by Urban Threads called Build a Halloween Bookshelf. In today's video we're going to stitch out this block right here, which is called Witch's Brew with the cool books. So go ahead and make sure you have all your supplies and your fabric that's already fused on the back side. If you have any doubts, look at video number 1 where I introduce this project and I go through all the supplies and the prep that you need to have done to do this project. All right, you ready? You got everything done? Let's get started. Let's go to the machine and let's get started stitching. Okay, we're at the machine and I need you to load your hoop with a piece of the Poly No Show Mesh Stabilizer. Make sure you match the size of your hoop to the size of the design that you purchased on Urban Threads. So I'm using a just under 8-inch design, so I have my 8-inch hoop. All right. I also want you to put a bobbin of black bobbin thread down below. We're using black fabric, so I highly recommend you use black bobbin thread so that if you have any tension issues, it won't show because it'll be black thread pulling up a little bit on the black fabric. Hopefully you won't, but just in case you do, that'll prevent some of the issues that you would have if you had white bobbin thread down below. All right, so I've got my hoop on my machine. Let's go to the screen cam and load the design. Okay, so I'm going to click on Embroidery, going to go to my flash drive, and I'm going to go to my Halloween bookshelf subfolder. And today we're going to be making the Witch's Brew block. Say that 10 times fast. Witch's Brew. This is the one right here. It says Witch's Brew right there. So we're going to click Set. We don't have to do anything to it. We can see I'm bringing in my 7.81 design, which matches from my 8-inch hoop. I'm going to click Embroidery. Okay, now just like we did in video number 2, I want to stitch the very last stitch first, and that stitch is an outline around the block. That's going to give me a placement line for my batting. It's going to allow me to tack down my batting and tack down the fabric. We're going to stitch it 3 times. So I'm going to hit my plus and minus key. By the way, I have a Baby Lock Destiny. If you have something similar, you can follow along. And you could go through it 1 stitch at a time, or like I showed you in the last video, we have a shortcut. I'm going to go back 1 stitch. That takes me to the end of the block, which is this outline stitch. That's the one that we're going to use. All right, we're going to actually stitch this 3 different times. First time it's going to give me a placement line for the batting. All right, so put your machine on that last stitch. We're going to go back to the hoop, and you can see my hoop is moved all the way over here. Okay, I have black thread up at the top of my machine because I have black fabric. Eventually we're going to be tacking down, so I want that to match. So we can go ahead and stitch this first outline out in black thread. You ready? Let's put the foot down and let's stitch it out. Okay, now I'm going to go to the screen cam and the machine tells me it's done. I'm going to click OK. It's moved itself back to the very first stitch. I'm going to go back again, back 1. Takes me to that last stitch. That's the outline. I want to stitch that out again. Okay, so let's go back to the hoop. And you can see it's done the placement line for the batting. So now I'm going to lay my batting down, making sure I completely cover that stitch line. And because I made my batting 10 inches by 10 inches, I have oodles of space around each side. Okay, so lay it down there. Then I'm going to use my hand and the stylus to hold this down. Put the foot down, and we're going to stitch this batting down. Here we go. Okay, perfect. So now I want you to take the hoop off the machine, take this over to a table, and I want you to trim away all of this excess batting from around the outside edge. Just don't nick that stitch line, okay? Do that, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, we've got that trimmed up. Doesn't have to be pretty, just has to be trimmed. Now let's go back to the screen cam. And again, we're going to move back one stitch. So finish embroidering, click OK. We're going to go back one stitch. I want to stitch that outline again. So this is time number 3 that we're stitching this. So this time we're going to be tacking down the fabric. So go ahead and grab your piece of black fabric, lay it down, making sure it completely covers all of that outer stitch line, which it does because we cut it to be 10 by 10. Now we're going to put a foot down, and with black thread still on the top of your machine, I want you to hit start, and we're going to tack down this fabric. Yes, and the machine says we're done already. Yes, we are. All right, I'm just going to take a piece of tape, and I'm going to get rid of all of the batting fuzz that has attached itself to the top center so that I'm not stitching that into my block. And you're probably going, well, why do we tack it down this way? That's not what we normally do. Well, this is a new technique I showed you in the first block. The reason I do this is because it gives the block a dimension. Whenever you do a normal quilt and you quilt, you have that dimension to your block. And I love that, even if it's in a wall hanging or even if you frame this like Urban Threads did. I love the fact that it gives that dimension. Another reason I do this is because it helps support, in addition to the fusible behind the cotton, the batting helps support all the stitches. So you're not going to get any puckering with this. Now, the reason I do the outline again and tack the fabric down is I am preventing this fabric from moving. If you just start stitching the block out and you don't have this outer stitch line, then your fabric could potentially move or shift on you. Your stitching may shift and all of a sudden your lines aren't lining up. You may get puckers on the outside because this fabric is not attached down, so it can move while the machine is doing all the stitching. If you do this extra step, you won't have that fabric moving on you. So it basically helps eliminate any of the puckering. All right, and that's what we want. So now let's go to the screen cam, and it thinks it's done, which it is. Click OK. And now it's moved you to the very first stitch. And this is where we're going to start. So we are good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Go back to my regular menu. It shows the colors, which are not quite right, but that's okay. I know what colors are coming because I'm using the printout that we did of the color changes from Urban Threads. So based on that, now let's go to the hoop cam. And I've got that color chart. And I know that these are the colors that we're going to use. And just remember, the colors don't go up and down anymore. They go across. So this is number 1. This is number 2, 3, 4, etc. You have to go left to right, not just up and down. All right. So the first thread I want you to put in your machine is number 1, the baby's breath, because we're going to do some work on the spider web. Ew, spiders. Hopefully they're just cute spiders and fabric spiders and aren't real. Oops, there we go. A little fuzz building up there. Okay, so now let's put the baby's breath up on top. And this is a 2-minute stitch out. Ready? Excited? We're going to start stitching out this block. All right, make sure there's no loops in your thread. Oops, I got a loop. Get that out. All right, let's put the foot down and let's stitch out the spiderweb line work. Okay, that's a spooky start. All right, let's switch out the thread. We're going to go step number 2, which is majestic purple. All right, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a book. So it's a 4-minute stitch out for book shading. Okay, so put your purple thread up on top. Are you ready for this? I love watching this come together. It's just very relaxing. I love it. Okay, let's put the foot down and let's stitch this out. 4 minutes in real life. Here we go. Nice. Okay, so now we are on thread color number 3, which is going to be Mystic Lavender. That's going to be pretty. That's also for the book. So those two colors are going to look really great together. All right, so put your Mystic Lavender thread in the top of your machine. Oops. Thread your machine, and away we go. This is a approximately 5-minute in real life stitch out. All right, that's one pretty book. All right, I'm going to take this off for a second because I want to check my bobbin thread. Okay, I know I'm getting low and my sensor on my machine isn't the best. I've got a little bit left. So I think I can push through the next book, maybe the next 1 or 2 colors, and then I'll have to put a new one in. So just check yours from time to time to make sure that you don't run out. If your sensor's working, that's great, but it's also difficult when you stop to try to realign where you were and not get like a double thick line. So I always just try to check on it and replace it before it runs out. Then my stitch work is really clean. Okay. All right. So the next one is step 4, which is dark teal. All right. So put your dark teal thread up in the top of your machine, and we're going to stitch out the second book. These are going to be really pretty next to each other. All right, here we go. This is a 3-minute in real life stitch out. If you get a loop, get that out so it doesn't damage your machine. Ready? Let's do it. That's pretty. Okay, so now we're going to switch the threads again. Now we're on step 5, so I'm looking for green turquoise. And that's going to be also accent on the book. All right, so put your green turquoise thread up on top. And this is about a 3-minute in real life stitch out. All right, you ready? Here we go. Get the loop out. No loop. Okay, let's stitch. All right, that looks really pretty. Okay, I'm going to gently take my hoop off the machine because I know I won't have enough bobbin thread to get through the next book. So, yeah, I'm real tight. I'm not going to chance that. So I'm going to put a new bobbin down below. And I'll use this little one up on like the next block, doing the placement lines, so it won't be wasted, but I'm going to use it someplace where it won't matter so much where I run out. I just like to keep my stitching clean and not have unnecessarily doubling up, because you have to literally get right on that stitch line where you stopped, so it's kind of a challenge. So this way we can avoid that challenge. How about that? That was number 5. Now let's go to number 6, which is terracotta. That's going to be the next book. This is so cool. I love this project. Watching these blocks come to life is so enjoyable. I am so happy that they came out with this project. All right. This is approximately a 4-minute stitch out. Make sure you don't have a loop. If you can't reach it, use your stylus and get that loop out. Okay, no loop. We're ready to go. So let's put the foot down and let's stitch out this next book. Nice. Okay, so we are now on color number 7, which is copper. Mine's kind of an orangey copper. That's going to look good against the red. Very Halloween. And so put your copper thread up in the top of your machine. And this one's a 5-minute stitch out. You've got this. You can do it one step at a time. Get my other thread out. All right, thread the needle and we're off and running. Little loop. Get that loop out. All right, ready? Let's do it. Foot down and let's stitch out the copper shading. That's really Halloween. I love that. Okay, so we are now on color number 8, which is going to be the coffee bean, kind of a light brown. And that's going to do actually 2 books. It's going to do book over here, and then it's going to do a book over there. So we are getting there. You're doing a great job. So let's put your brown coffee bean thread up on top. And we're going to stitch this out. So it's a 7-minute stitch out. Oh, I see a loop. Do you see a loop? It's kind of a curlicue loop, but I'm going to get it out anyway. Okay, here we go. Nice. Okay, so now we are on step number 9, and we're going to put khaki colored thread up at the top. Keep this brown handy because we're going to come back to it at the next step on number 10. But right now we're on number 9, which is going to be highlights and line work on the last 2 books. So let's put the khaki in. That'll look great against the brown. Take the old brown out. I do that a lot. It's like, oops, I got 2 colors of thread down there in my needle. There we go. There's the khaki. All right, this is an 8-minute in real life stitch out. Here we go. Isn't this looking great? Okay, so now we're going to go back to Coffee Bean again, because now it's going to work on the shelf down here at the bottom. Okay, so let's get the khaki out. Keep this handy because you're going to need it again here in a few minutes. But let's go ahead and put the Coffee Bean, step number 10, up in the top of your machine. And we got this. You're doing great. You're getting the rhythm. You know kind of what to expect. And you're doing awesome. Okay, I'm going to pull that out. Okay, this is a 7-minute in real life stitch out. Let's do it. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to go to step number 11, which is the emerald black. And in my case, it's going to be the midnight blue black, because I don't have an emerald black, but it's line work. So it's similar to what we did in the first block when we had the skull and it did a line accent around the skull. This is going to be line accent around all of the books. So I think that'll give a nice color change instead of regular black. So let's do it. So put your thread color of choice up on your machine. This is a 6-minute stitch out. All right, are you ready? Let's see this line work come to life. Ooh. I have a loop. Let me get that out. All right, here we go. I love that look. Just a little bit of blue, so it's not totally black. I think the emerald black would look amazing if you have that color thread. That's cool. All right, so the next step is going to be number 12, sawdust. And I'm going to change my sawdust color up a little bit. The one that I used on the last block was a little bit more yellow gold. But I think that looked great on the raven or the crow because it was reflecting off of the candle, the light on the candle. But now with the edges of the book, I think I want to go a gold because antique books have gold bindings, right? Okay, so since this is a large spool, I need to put this on a stand behind my machine and run it over the top. Never put this next to your wheel on the side of your machine because the thread can get stuck and then wrap itself around the wheel. So I always put it toward the back of the machine and then run it toward the front. So go ahead and thread your machine with your sawdust or gold, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, I've got my gold thread loaded in my machine, and this is going to be a long stitch out, but again, we'll fast forward through it. This is a 22-minute in real life stitch out. So let's watch it do all of the gold accents. Okay, my bobbin warning did come up saying my bobbin thread was almost empty. So I'm going to cut my thread. Okay. And foot's lifted. All right, I'm going to get a new bobbin full of thread out. I'm going to take the hoop gently off the machine. And we're going to swap it out. Yeah, it's empty. Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so let's put a new bobbin in. I can get approximately 26,000 stitches out of one of these bobbins. That's kind of what I've been averaging. So that's pretty good. All right, now we're going to have to back it up just a little bit. So I can say return. I'm going to do my plus or minus button, and I'm going to go backwards. Let's just do 10. That should be enough, and click OK. I don't want to do too much because when we're in the middle of a satin stitch and you go back too far, you're going to have a larger bump as it goes over a couple threads, and it'll be noticeable. But if you only go back 10, it won't be noticeable. Okay, if I see a little thread, I just want to pull it and trim it. So that won't be an issue when we stitch these 10 stitches out. All right, so let's put our foot down and let's keep going. These are beautiful, but this one is my absolute favorite. That is so elegant. Woohoo! All right, we are on step number 13, and 13 is the color Sawdust again. So we don't have to change our thread. We can just hit the button, put our foot down, and start stitching. Now it's going to do the text, which is Brew on this book. Same exact color that you just used. Don't change a thing. Here we go. Okay, we've got 2 steps left. So we're on step number 14, and it tells us that it wants us to put in khaki colored thread, and it's going to do the shelf line work down here. So go ahead and put khaki thread up on top. You've almost finished this block. You've done such a good job. Don't you feel great? I do, and I hope you do too. So let's get this done here. We've got a 2-minute stitch out, but we've got a loop. So we don't want to rush through that. All right, here we go. All right, we've got 1 left, and we're going to do the black outline one more time, one final time, so that it will frame everything around the side, and then we will be done with the stitch out part of this block. Isn't that amazing? I just love this block. I think of the 2 that we've done so far, this one's my favorite of the 2, but I still like the other one. All right, so you got black thread in your machine. Let's stitch out this last outline. It's a 1-minute stitch out. Here we go. Isn't that amazing? You did it. I love this block. I love the gold accents. I love the books. I love the saying. Just so cool. You did it. Congratulations. All right, so now you can take the hoop off your machine. You can take the block out of the hoop, and I'm going to go over to the table, and I'm going to show you how to finish up this block. So quick change of plan. Go ahead and take the block out of the hoop and just put it aside with block 1. I'm going to stitch all of the blocks out first, and then I'll do a video that shows you how to finish all of the blocks up at the same time. So that way we're doing the same technique just all at one time. All right? So I hope you had fun today making this block. I know I did. So I look forward to doing the next block with you. Please stay tuned here on Jolly Molly TV for more fun blocks in this project. So until I see you next time, take care and happy stitching. Bye-bye.